This here episode of the MeatEater podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. It is the easiest way to create a beautiful website, blog, or online store for you and your ideas. Squarespace features a very elegant interface, beautiful templates, and 24/7 customer support. Go to squarespace.com and try it out. Enter the offer code MeatEater at checkout and get 10% off. Not only are you helping yourself to a sweet website, you're helping the MeatEater podcast stay alive and healthy. Squarespace, build it beautiful. All right, everybody. This is the MeatEater podcast coming to you recorded from the Llano Estacado, or Staked Plains of Texas. We're in a canyon called Ransom Canyon, which is a sweet name, in a rental house that has a lot of personal flourishes of the owner around it. We're down here. We're not going to talk about why we're down here too much yet, because we're going to talk about that at another point. Has to do with a big, tall bird that tastes real good. Instead, what we're talking about right now is something that I've been troubled by and puzzled over and anguished over my entire life, and that is the purpose and functionality and also some practical business having to do with hunting dogs. And I've always maintained that dudes who hunt with dogs like dogs more than hunting. And I have a couple of dog experts sitting here today, and also Janis Putelis. You ever owned a dog, Janis?
Nope.
And also a man who's never even owned a dog.
I got one.
How have you never owned a dog?
We had one growing up, so it was a family dog, so I didn't really own
Yeah,
one.
I'm counting that.
And then when I got married, I got a 2-for-1 package. But she was just like a house dog. She was a family dog.
What's it mean to get 2-for-1 package?
I got a dog with the marriage.
Where's that dog now?
She passed away.
From what?
Old age.
All right, so Janis lied. He's actually had several dogs. They're all dead now. And we're also joined right now by Ronny Boehme, who's the main dog guy that I know. Like most of what I know about dogs, besides just dogs I've owned, has come from Ronny. And Ronny, I'm gonna have you talk about Ronny. Ronny judges dogs and breeds dogs.
Yeah,
You used to breed these really violent dogs.
let's not call them violent.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Mean-spirited dogs.
I started out like
Not pit bulls, but
when I first moved to Michigan 7 years ago. I got a German short hair, and it was a nice dog, and little hyper strong, little goofy, and I didn't know jack shit about training. I couldn't get the dog to sit, but
you wanted it for hunting.
Yeah, and this dog was a good grouse dog and a good woodcock dog, and I took it to South Dakota. But other than that, I got lucky. This dog just out of the box, it just did everything.
You mean Zygon?
No, this is Queenie.
I
Long
remember
time ago.
that dog.
Yeah, the white and brown.
So that wasn't the violent kind.
No.
And
then when I
But it was a pointer.
Yeah, it's a point. All my dogs have been pointing.
You've always been into points.
Yeah.
Like I want to real quick. Hunting dogs occur in what 3 categories? Let's say you got just to lay this out basically. You got pointers, retrievers, and trackers. Is that how you categorize hunting dogs?
Well, we call them pointers, flushers, and then there'd be tracking dogs, which would be in the hound group,
like lion dogs or coon dogs.
Coon dogs, bear dogs.
So pointers, flushers, and trackers.
Basically,
is fair to say.
Yeah, it's fair.
All right, and you've always been into the pointers,
Right.
And that's good because I know Ed's into the
flushing breed.
retrievers.
But as far as the field work, it's a flushing dog.
Yeah, but he mainly uses it for it to go pick up dead stuff.
That's true. Then
which and we'll get to this. In my opinion,
is the most useful dog you could have.
It's the main thing a dog can do. Is I would leave it in its kennel until I couldn't find something, and I would go home and get it and have it find it.
Yeah.
All right. But anyways.
So
anyway, your dog, you're doing
right.
your life through dogs.
I made one of those mistakes. I jumped in with both feet, and I started reading too many articles, and I got a German wire-haired pointer. That dog hated me. It was a good hunter, but it had no cooperation.
This is Zygon.
No, this is Zygon. This is way before you met Zygon. His name was Haskell. He's a black.
I remember that dog.
Black wire hair, which is a little rare at that time. He had all the talent in the world, and I had no skill level to train the obedience. Some dogs, when they're really high desire and really, there's a top shelf dog, it needed to be told who was alpha. It needed a boss.
Yeah.
And
you weren't man enough to do that.
I can't get my wife to listen to me. I couldn't get this dog to listen to me at all. It was this dog. I took this dog to Canada when he was like 4 or 5 years old to hunt sharp-tailed grouse. And I only shot grouse over my buddy's griffin. My dog hunted like over there and retrieved birds for other people. The dog hated me.
That's funny because my hate of hunting dogs, my kind of hate of hunting dogs, comes from people telling me throughout my life. This is going back to high school. People being like, "Oh, I got this great hunting dog. We're gonna take my great hunting dog out and we'll go hunting." And you open the door or open the back of the truck, and that son of a bitch takes off, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't contest that he's not a great hunting dog. Who knows what he's doing wherever he is?
Right.
He might be hunting up a storm, but it's not happening around me."
Right,
You know?
right. Yeah,
And then you spend your whole time trying to get the dog back in the truck.
and hollering at it and blowing a whistle, and it's aggravating. You were with me with some of the dogs I had.
I remember some. Yeah, your dogs now are different.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So
no,
then you got into the mean ones.
that was the German wire hairs.
Yeah.
And
And those dogs are meant for killing.
they're very good at it.
Yeah.
They're-
Like they'll kill a raccoon, whatever.
See, in Germany, when they started the versatile breeds, the wire hair was put together. It was a poodle pointer, which is not a poodle, but it's another wire-haired dog. Stickelhaar, a short hair, and can't remember the other breed. But anyway, there was like 4 basic breeds put in there, and they wanted a dog that would not only, point a bird, they wanted to track blood, and because everything was privately owned, all the big estates in Europe, only the wealthy hunted back in the 1800s.
And they wanted the dog to kill a poor guy
Right.
if they caught him hunting on their land.
No, the dogs like people. They do. But what they were expected to do, and they still do, and I don't want to say a secret society dog club, and I won't mention it, but this breed of dog, if you have one that's still registered in Berlin, it has to kill, before it's allowed to breed, a full-grown raccoon.
Where do they get the raccoons?
By itself?
No help from the owner. No help.
No,
from the-
no other dogs.
No, they let the raccoon.
Mano y mano.
They trap a raccoon and have a hard trap. And
Hold on a minute. There's raccoons in Europe?
No, but there's a similar. The point is here we have,
Hedgehog?
here no.
Yeah, it's like a little 2-pound stoat that he
I
has
think
to
it's-
kill.
I think it's a guinea pig. They have to kill a guinea pig. No. What they've done is they've used a raccoon here because that's what we have here. But the point was that dog was expected to get rid of vermin out on these estates.
Oh, I
while it's
gotcha.
hunting, if they come across a skunk, a polecat, whatever they call them, in
Anything that's going to eat bird eggs.
exactly. Anything that they basically made this like sterile environment where game birds and game animals, rabbits and game animals would flourish. By that dog, and mine have done it. I mean, they'll be running down the woods, going through looking for grouse and stuff, and all of a sudden, wham! There's a raccoon that was like nested up by a log or a skunk. One bite on the back of the neck, it's done.
Really?
And
that was desirable.
That's what the Germans wanted. Doesn't work so good when you come to America. You go to a farmer, knock on his door, and it takes 2 of his house or his yard cats out of his barn. And it was his best mousing cat. So, but anyway, so I had this desire to have this headstrong, hard.
Can I ask you a question though about the raccoons? That's some hardcore shit because when we were in Florida pig hunting, we saw a raccoon.
A pack of dogs fighting a raccoon.
Well, that was a pussy dog.
No, these weren't.
Well, we did
these
see
were
one of those dogs get gouged bad by a pig.
But still, I'm saying that's amazing to hear that they kill.
But what I'm
a
saying is,
raccoon
too,
by
you remember,
itself.
there's a lot of German wire hairs in this country.
Yeah.
There's different registries with them. If you stay to this one format, it's called VDD-GNA. And if you stay to that format, your dog has to pass certain performance tests before you're allowed to breed the dog. And the dog has to be in front of a breed warden to make sure it's the right height, the right size, the right teeth. If the coat's not right, they'll only let you breed it to a coat that's going to complement it. It's how do I say? It's like a lot of whiskey 2 mentality, and that's the way they are. And those dogs that I thought I wanted and I stuck with for 15, 18 years, wasn't more than I could handle. But
it was like a penis extension dog.
No, it wasn't my Corvette. It wasn't a Corvette dog or nothing like that. But it was. I thought it'd be cool to have a dog that could do all that. But you didn't realize how nasty that could get sometimes.
Yeah, like you didn't realize what it really meant.
Yeah, like my buddy's dog come off the tailgate. I'm putting a collar on my dog. He does, most dogs sniff ass or at least tiptoe and look at each other before they fight. This dog just jumped off the tailgate and went. I was like, you're so embarrassed. You're like, so anyway. So that's where that was my predominant breed for the center of my dog years.
And at that time, you were involved with the same organization,
right? The same organization. It's called NAVDA, North American Versatile Hunting Dog Association.
And Ed, what we haven't really even introduced Ed Arnett yet, but just real quick, what's the organization you're involved in?
American Kennel Club.
AKC.
AKC.
Oh.
Yeah.
Arnett,
as a judge. That's what I'm associated with.
But that's what you sort of measure dogs by that standard.
By the hunt test standard. Yes.
Gotcha.
That there's also field trials.
Have you heard of, are you aware of North American Versatile Hunting Dog Association?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I hunt with a lot of guys that have pointers too, so
NAVDA, you're involved in NAVDA now, but you were involved in NAVDA when you had wire hairs.
Right. Even before I became a judge for them, I was involved with them and, tried to learn and glean everything I could from the other trainers and the other breeders and everything. But,
and that, like all the dogs that you've talked about, Queenie.
Yeah.
Was a what?
Queenie's a short hair.
Then a German wire hair.
Haskell and Zygon.
And then now the new kind of dogs you're tangled up with have all fallen under versatile hunting dogs.
Yeah, versatile hunting dog is a dog that, if you look it up in the dictionary, it's a dog that's going to hunt and point and do work before and after the shot on land and on water. That's basically the description of it.
Yeah.
So what we want is a dog that will basically perform in any terrain.
Yep.
And if water's a terrain, water's a terrain.
An ATD.
What's that?
All-trained dog.
I didn't get that.
So real quick, rattle off a handful of species that would be ATDs, and then what kind of dog you're messing around with now.
Well, the most common ones everybody knows of is German Shorthairs, English Pointers, Brittany's, English Setters, Poodle Pointers, Vizslas. A lot of Vizslas getting real popular. Munsterlanders, which is like a setter-looking dog from Germany. There's, I think, 22 of them now in our registry in NAVDA, so I can't think of every...
Is a Weimaraner in there?
Weimaraner's in there also.
This gal that used to live down the road, do you remember the Johnson family? Sort of lived across Middle Lake from my sister.
Yeah.
They had a dog that they named Nipper. A Weimaraner named Nipper, but it would always bite people. And they got to thinking that the reason it bit people is because his dog's name was Nipper, and he was just fulfilling his name. And then they changed his name to Bowser.
Did it help?
I can't remember. But that was a versatile hunting dog, or not.
Yeah, no, it is. They are in the basically all the European breeds that point are considered versatile hunting dogs.
Yeah.
They're not, over the years, a lot of them become specialist dogs. So they, like an English setter is going to pretty much be your predominant grousewoods dog up in the north.
Yeah.
A pointer, we're in Texas, right? And a pointer is going to be a predominant bird down here in Texas.
For quail.
And because it's a shorter coated dog, it's not going to get hot. It's that would be a predominant. They are still in the versatile category, but for generations they've been bred as a specialist.
Yeah.
So to take one and transition it into a water dog is a little more difficult than it is for
I follow you.
Yeah. But to transition any versatile dog into a water dog, you just take their field desire and push it into the water. They find that the water has the animals in it, just like the field has the animals in it, and they're just excited as hell to go out into a marsh and look for a duck.
But they're probably not equipped to stay warm.
No, that's a fault with them because very few of them have a really good dual coat that will protect them in cold
Because the lab's like a seal.
Yeah, they'll come out of the water. Look, I don't need a towel. Yeah. Well, we're going to tell...
I got one last thing for you, though.
All right, yeah.
The dogs you're into now, which is a reasonable dog.
Right.
It's the kind of dog... Does Face Hill still have one?
Yes, they have like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah. I don't lust after women besides my wife, but... I just don't. But I go to Las Vegas.
What about Tim McGraw?
I go to Las Vegas every year, for this thing,
Yeah.
and for the last like 2 years in a row, in all the elevators, there's an ad for a Faith Hill concert. Mm-hmm. And it's just such it's like such an intoxicating ad campaign. I have no desire whatsoever to go see her in concert, but when I'm standing in the elevator, which is all you do in Las Vegas is ride up and down the elevator, she's always advertising there, and I'm always looking at her thinking about your dog because you told me that she has one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has several. I think it's Tim's more than hers, but some.
Is that why you sell your dogs so fast, like before they even hit the ground out of the bitch?
I'll bet you not. And hardly anybody knows they have them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, the Bracco people have them, but know that. But
so Ronnie's now tangled up with a dog called a
Italian Bracco.
Bracco Italiano.
Bracco Italiano. Depends on how you want to say it. And it's a very houndy looking dog. It's when people see it, when I'm in Virginia, there's a lot of bear hunters in Virginia. It's like more bear hunters. There's more bear in Virginia than any place I've ever been. And people come and make guests. I was at Prince of Wales Island. You're right.
It's got a lot of bears.
A lot of bear. And people will come up to my external dog box, and they'll be standing by my tailgate. What kind of bear dog is that? God, I never seen one orange before.
Yeah. You know? And then you got to tell them it's a bird dog.
And I just say Italian pointer because they're like, Bracco, what?
Yeah,
So I leave that out. But it's just it's a versatile dog, but it was really never bred for the versatility in Italy. It was pretty much an upland bird.
Yeah.
But then again, so are most English pointers.
And that's a dog you could actually bring into your house without it killing your kids.
Yeah, and it doesn't kill animals. It doesn't, it doesn't have that fur drive because the Italians over all these centuries just wanted to hit birds with them.
Yep.
So they use these dogs. I understand. I've never seen it, never been to Italy, but there are supposed to be frescoes from the 14th century with very, very close pictures that resemble the Bracco.
Yeah.
Which was either the can't remember the other Spanish pointer, but all the same thing. Very, very long ears, a nose like Jimmy Durante on it, and so there's like they've been pretty much breeding true to type for what's 14th from 600 years.
Yeah.
And the dog is very docile. It's like Ed's Labs. I mean, I told Ed, watch my dogs. Well, what are they going to do? He says, you're right. He says, well, if you're out there having a smoke, just keep an eye on them. Yeah. They just come up. And I finally have this dog that's a pointing dog that acts like Ed's Labs.
Yeah.
They're like, hi. They just come up. And now but they would run out of the driveway. Like right now, if I let my dogs out.
They'd be gone.
They'd be not gone far, but they'd just be gone at this 100 or 200 yard range, and I'd have to be screaming and panicking and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the last lab, Danny had that dog for a while.
Yeah.
Like my brother Danny had a duck hunting dog recently. He went down to an adoption, like a dog. I don't know when all this like bringing human terms came to dogs. You used to go to the pound and get a dog. Now you're like, I rescued the dog. It's like, I don't know. What about but people have been rescuing dogs as long as people have been going to the pound and picking up a dog. So he went to a rescue place.
Right.
That
is kind of weird.
The dog he picked out, his criteria for picking out a dog is it's just a building. It specializes in labs. It's a pound for labs. And he went in there, and every lab in every room.
Lab rescue.
Yeah, lab rescue.
Lab rescue.
He went in there, and every lab in the room except
Yeah.
one stood up when he walked in. And he's like, I'll take the one that didn't get up.
Not sure if that's a good barometer or not. But.
It was a great dog. It was a great dog. It died just recently.
I met it.
He was cool about it when it died, but a buddy of his was saying how he was real depressed, man, when his dog died.
Yeah.
Tig, like Tig Welder.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like your kids.
Yeah, he thought so. All right.
We'll be right back to talk a lot more about labs and other hunting dogs. Anyone who's done it can tell you that building a website can be a pain in the ass. Even if you know your way around coding, which I don't, you still got to craft something that looks as good as it works. It's time consuming. But if you got a business or a portfolio or whatever, or you're trying to make your name in a new field, you got to have a website now. There's no way around it. Thankfully, Squarespace makes it easy to build beautiful websites without any hassle. And if you want something that's minimalistic but powerful, their cover page feature allows you to set up just a single one-page online presence in minutes. You can build and run a website for just about $8 a month. There's no reason not to do it. I'm telling you, when I was starting out my career as a writer, I needed a place to showcase my publications and to allow folks to see what I was doing and get a hold of me. And over the years, I hired several people to make websites for me at $1,000 a pop, but then I'd need to change something around and I'd be on my own. If I had access to Squarespace then and had taken advantage of it, I would have saved tons of time and money, and I would have gotten my message out even faster than I did. You can start a trial at Squarespace without putting in a credit card, and you can get to work on a website right now. When you do it, use the offer code MeatEater, and you'll get 10% off your purchase. And I want to thank Squarespace for supporting the MeatEater podcast. Squarespace, build it beautiful.
Speaking of labs, I want to tell one other lab story before we talk to Ed about labs for a minute, just to get the breakdown on labs, because well, two things. The only dog I ever really liked, we had many, many dogs. Many of them would just vanish. Like
I thought you just had that one lab that was there forever.
No, man, we had dogs. We had Mike, Kayla, Snoopy, and we had all dogs. I didn't even know what all dogs we owned, but they would never last. My dad would just get rid of them. One time, this is awful to admit, and he's dead, so no one can prosecute
Did he have him rescued?
Yeah, he had him rescued, like from life. But we're going down the road one day, and we were going rabbit hunting. I was a kid. We're going rabbit hunting, and lo and behold, there's a beagle on the side of the road. That dog became our dog. I mean, it was like, what timing?
What was that?
He took that dog, and that dog was Bobo, was his name, and that dog became our dog. Just as simple as opening the door of the truck, and the dog called the dog into the truck.
Climbed
We
right in.
probably stole someone's dog, and then Bobo lived with us for a long time. Because my dad had a good beagle.
No collar, no tag.
I don't even remember.
You did. Took it off and
yeah. He thought, he's like, we're going rabbit hunt. Apparently, here's this dog.
We should get a beagle.
So we had that dog. We had that dog for a while, Bobo, because it reminded my dad of a good. He used to hunt a lot of cottontails in
Illinois.
Yeah. But the one lab story I want to tell, it's just funny as hell, and I want to tell just because Ronnie's here, is me and Ronnie went, I don't know how it happened, but we went on a guided, that was the first guided hunt I ever went on my entire life.
Yeah.
Went on a guided snow goose hunt for a couple days, in which I got one snow goose, I think.
And I got none.
And at a point, the guide, if you call him that, we're out there at 2 a.m. because we have set out like thousands of decoys. And at one point, the guide goes to relieve himself. He goes to take a growler, and he goes just like right behind us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can smell it. He's right behind us.
The trees were only another 150, 200 feet.
Right behind us. And we're in layout blinds. Okay, and so you're just stuck in a layout blind. And after a couple minutes, here's his lab back there.
I know where this is going.
Right? Here's his lab back there. Toilet paper hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Cleaning up.
And
you're already stuck in these blinds. And in the lab all morning is going up and down the line of guys trying to kiss and lick everyone's face.
because he's just friendly. He's been doing that all morning, but now we know what he was doing.
It'd be like,
he's like, tainted.
It'd be like if a human being ate dog shit and then came up to you and said, give me a kiss. No, just give me a kiss. Just give me a kiss. Why? It's nothing. I ate it. Just give me a kiss. All morning long.
Yeah. Oh, God. And it didn't matter.
So Ed, you love Labradors.
I do.
No, yeah. And I do too. I like them too. But Ed, Arnett, I know Ed from TRCP, Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership. And we met like at things. Events.
Yeah, events.
Formal, informal events.
Media
Always
summit
talk
and stuff, yeah.
You can go to a lot of hunting events and meet a lot of guys who don't do a lot of hunting. It's possible, But and Ed and I hit it off. This is the first time we've actually gotten together to hunt. But I know that you, just judging by your trailer alone, you're a dog man. You got like a polished dog trailer. Have you always been into like retrievers, labs, or did you do the whole pointer thing too?
I got an interesting story on how it happened because I really got into duck hunting when I moved to Oregon, and I've shot birds since I started hunting when I was 10 years old. Mm-hmm. But I never hunted with
What
a
state
dog.
were you born in?
Illinois.
Oh, really?
Sounds like
You've been
your
out
dad's
west
from
for a
Illinois.
long time, right?
Yeah, right out of high school. I
Montana,
was
Colorado,
and-
Texas.
I was cliche and went west as a young man, right out of high school. Colorado, and then moved to Montana, Wyoming, Oregon.
Oh, so you've been all over.
Spent a good chunk of time here in Texas, and then now I'm back in Colorado.
Yeah.
So I never hunted with a dog, though, or even anybody with a dog. And when I was we were talking today about, hunting in the East Gallatin, hunting the spring creeks and jump shooting or hitting pheasants, but also jump shooting mallards. I'll just go pick up everything myself. And
or at least try to.
Or at least try to.
Exactly.
Here comes the funny part of the story. So we'd go out, the septic ponds that were out there in Belgrade.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And we'd go out there. You were talking about jump shooting some of those. We'd go out there and jump shoot those. I'd take a fishing pole and throw a big ass, snagging hook.
Oh, to try to retrieve your ducks out of there.
Pull the ducks in if you didn't kill them on land. So you do that for a while and you think, boy, this seems silly. And then I got to Oregon and I went hunting with a guy. And he had Chesapeakes, and I really was impressed with how well behaved the dog was, and how great it was to have a dog going out and getting the birds and everything. So we hunted on opening weekend this was back in the 1991 or something. And so I go hunting after that opening weekend, and I put a stock on some mallards in a reservoir in Oregon, and I doubled on greenheads. It was great, and they all fall out in the lake, and I'm like, all right, now how the hell am I going to go get them? They're right out in the lake. So I stripped down naked, and I swam out and got those 2 mallards, and I said, I'm buying a frickin' dog after this. Yeah. That's a true story, and I started looking, and I went and got a lab that winter.
I totally understand it, man, because the times I've hunted, we used to jump shoot a lot of ponds in Michigan, and in Michigan you have a lot of cattails around duck ponds, And the problem with jump shooting ducks is, over decoys are coming toward you, and they usually land closer than where they were when you hit them, if everything goes right. Jump shooting,
going away.
Yeah, they're already far away, and then they're going to be farther away by the time they land. And you got these seas of cattails.
Yep.
And you're like, bam, that thing starts going down, and it goes down. And you just get a sinking feeling I will never find that thing, man. You look and look and look. And you go out there with a dog, and that son of a bitch just runs over and sticks his head underwater and pulls it out. That made me a believer. Just not if they made a dog you could put in a thing in your pocket and just get it out when you needed it and put water on it and it turns into a dog.
Yeah, Chihuahuas aren't good retrievers.
No, they're not.
Well, I don't know how Ronnie feels about this, but I can remember a handful of retrieves. Not maybe a handful, maybe 2 or 3 handfuls, but you remember the special ones?
I do too.
And to that point, I dropped a duck way back in a marsh. And I sent one of my females, she's gone now, but I sent her, and she went. And she came back. She hunted short, and I gave her a back, and she went. And you can't handle a dog on a blind retrieve and that stuff. I mean, it was really thick and nasty. So I got her over the river, because she didn't mark this bird. And I just gave her a hard back, and I let her go. And about 10 minutes later, she came back with that damn duck.
Desire takes over. That.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I got it. That's how I got into it. And I didn't want a Chesapeake for no particular reason. I just liked labs.
A little bit of German wire hair personality issues.
Yeah.
Also.
So when you're hunting, you mainly expect your dog to find downed critters.
No, I expect my dog to mark and go get it, and then find cripples as needed. And if I need to, handle them to a blind retrieve.
But mostly after the shot's been taken.
That's correct. In a perfect world, you want a dog that's in your blind, like Sage was today when we were hunting cranes. I took the dog today because we had good enough cover to hide it.
Yeah.
And he sat there nice and calm while those birds came in, and he didn't see a couple of them, but so we just lined him up and sent him out. But he marked a few of them, and then we walked over and picked up a couple. So
yeah.
But, you want a dog for a retriever. You want a dog that sits there, nice and quiet, obedient, doesn't break and run out when the geese are coming in or when you pull up the shotgun. You want them sitting there so they actually mark the bird when it falls down.
Have you always been into retrievers?
Yeah, that's the only.
What are the main kind of? Are there more kind of retrievers than a lab?
Yeah. So if you go if you go by AKC rules, if you will, the retriever breeds are Labradors, Golden Retrievers, Chesapeake Bay Retrievers, and then for the retriever hunting test, which I judge for.
And you judge that for AKC?
I judge AKC test.
And Ron, you judge for NAVDA.
And I have a question for you about that. There is an AKC equivalent for pointing dogs, correct?
Yeah, AKC has several tests that we transition right into.
Yeah.
They just don't blend the water in with the test day.
Right.
Yeah. But they also have an AKC water test, like a little, just to show that your dog can go do water retrieves.
Right.
So yeah, AKC's really covers a big gamut. They really do.
So the hunting test program started with NARA, the North American Hunting Retriever Association, and then NAVDA the equivalent. So, this was, some old field trialer guys and duck hunters that kind of got together and said, we just want to go out and test these hunting skills of these dogs. So they created this North American Hunting Retriever Association. And
how did you become a judge doing that?
Well, I just got into
putting
the
your own
dogs.
dogs.
Yeah, exactly. I got my first dog after I did my famous swim after my 2 mallards. Got this dog, and I started reading books. Started with Richard Walters, Water Dog.
That book is everywhere, man.
Everywhere.
We had that dog because of our lab.
Absolutely.
And I'll say we wound up with a great lab because we lived by a Coast Guard station, and a woman who was in the Coast Guard was getting restationed somewhere. She couldn't bring her dog. She put an ad. Put an ad in the paper. Interviewed a bunch of people. Came out to our house. We had kids. We liked to hunt. We lived on a lake. She gave us the dog, and that dog, we had that dog a long time, turned into just as far as obedience, the only problem is she was white, so it was hard to hide her in the duck woods. We always had those wool army blankets.
Cover her up, yeah.
Always trying to lay her on there, But she would spot birds in the air that you didn't see, and had a noise she'd make in the back of her throat. And when she made that noise, there was a bird in the air.
She was like,
yeah, it was just like you do. It was like, there's a duck. She'd see it, and she would find ducks, and she would find ducks you didn't shoot. You'd go out the second morning of season, waiting for it to get light out.
Get some of the cripples.
And you'd look, and she'd be standing there with a duck in her mouth, and the duck be looking around. Like she went and found some duck that wasn't even dead. You didn't before it got light out, and she's standing there with it. She was a great dog. She wound up
That's the one you hunted the most with.
Oh, that's the only dog we ever had legitimate hunting with.
Yeah.
2 things happened to her. One time we were on one of those floating land lakes.
Yeah.
You know, something that has a false bottom.
Yeah. Yep.
And we knocked some geese down in the early season in Michigan, and there's a wounded goose, very much alive, out on some floating land. And she swam out and climbed up on the floating land, but her 4 legs poked through, and that goose beat the shit out of her, man. And she would never touch another goose again after that. Yeah. The second bad thing that happened is she got hit by a van. We were out working on our BMX bikes, and I don't want to say who did it, but a guy down the road hit her in a blue van, carpet van, and busted her all up. We got a lot more years out of her. Eventually, she got where she couldn't even stand up. And then a friend of ours, Ben, took her out in Chippewa National Forest in the UP, and we had to dig a hole and shoot the dog down in the hole and bury the hole. It was just terrible. And I've never had another dog since then.
Well, back to how I got into AKC judging. So I ran the hunt test when my dog became of age, and I wanted to do the hunt test. Field trials are as a handler. The hunt tests are very different than the field trialers, and the reason they put those programs together was to test dogs' hunting abilities. And
I want to keep going, but I want at the end of this, I want you to explain in you too. I just don't want to forget to ask you this. Do you think that can you test the dog in a way that actually demonstrates how that dog will perform in the field? Just keep that in the back of your head.
Sure.
But don't even do it now. Just remember later.
Well, I was really into this new dog I got, and I trained her almost every day. And you need to when they're really young. You
trained her with an eye toward the test.
Exactly. Well, I kind of got into the test, but everybody starts off saying, "I just want a good hunting dog."
Or you go to a test sometime and you see a dog perform, you're like, "I gotta have that."
Exactly.
I gotta have that.
I have a Nova, but I really want a Cadillac. Chevy, whatever. Pick your favorite.
I thought maybe you had a Chevy Nova.
Yeah, no. I mean, pick your favorite beater car, but you want the Maserati when you see them run. And so the field trials is different than the hunting test. The hunting test, you are judged against a standard. You set up a test, and if the dogs pass it, they
first, second,
qualify.
Third place or nothing.
That's the field test.
It's a hunting test. Again, under different field scenarios. In a field trial, it's a winner take all.
Right.
So
first, second,
third placement. And some of these field trial dogs now, I mean, they'll mark readily out to 400 yards. That's not a realistic hunting situation.
You knock a bird down, he lands 400 yards away, and that dog's going to look at where it is.
If he can see it. If he can see it,
but he could be handled to 400 yards probably, couldn't he?
Right, but if you were in a situation where you were high enough and the dog actually could see it, there are many dogs that could actually run out and mark it if they have been trained to deal with the terrain, the wind, all these factors that play in
mental
to them
that mental
holding
memory,
that line.
And that's what labs have. Labs have that marking memory. Like most pointing dogs do
Yeah.
not have that marking memory.
Yeah.
A lab will, like you can, and you guys train it.
You train
You'll
it
pull
in
these
them.
different retrieves. Well, your average dog, 99 of them are going to go get that last thing you threw.
Oh.
And you go, no, you're going to go get the second thing I threw.
Yeah.
You know,
You remember that?
They can. Oh, Ed could talk. I mean,
Well,
I did it with one dog, but
Real
Yeah.
quick, can you guys define mark? 'Cause-
go ahead.
Sure, marked
Yeah.
retrieve is when the dog actually sees the bird or is supposed to see it.
Yeah.
And a blind retrieve is when they don't see the fall, and you give them hand signal. You send them on a. I send it on back.
You're guiding him, but he's
You're
blind.
guiding them.
Yeah, he has no idea
You're
where the
guiding
bird's
them.
at.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a teamwork. So
What's
you
the call
stop
when
them
neither of
with
you
a
knows
whistle.
where the bird's at?
Lost bird.
No, I mean, but he might go out and find it.
That's well.
that's
somebody's got to
Oh, but
mark
you
it.
still roughly guided it.
Yeah,
I got you.
Well, an ethical hunter will watch those birds until they're completely out of sight.
Yeah.
I've seen many
so you
that
can
don't.
give him an approximation of where it is, and he'll look around.
Exactly.
In that area.
And if I don't think I could handle them to a bird, I don't send my dogs on very many blinds, quite frankly, in hunting situations.
'Cause you go over
Not
there yourself,
practical.
too.
Go over there and get the dog on the bird and make sure you find it in the area of the
Yeah,
fall.
with you.
If it's practical to send them, I've sent them on several, but more often than not, you're walking them out there to find a cripple.
Well, like
But-
going after
but
those
the whole
cranes,
idea-
going after the cranes today, the dog just knew though.
Yeah, he saw him.
Yeah.
And also,
He saw him, or let me just fit it real quick. The one that Ronnie, you shot today and landed on the bank. He didn't see it,
Right.
but I lined him up.
Right.
And I just lined him, and he could see it right there. So then when he saw it, I locked him and I set him.
But
on the
even if he
back.
couldn't have saw it, Ed lined him up, and he learns from that key of Ed's hand.
That's right.
You put your hand over the dog's head, and that dog's going to follow.
He knows he's supposed
Yep.
to look in that direction and pay attention. And he saw the bird laying there. Now, had he not seen it, I would have said back, and then when he
Right.
veers off course, you hit him with a sit
Stop
whistle.
him.
We
Yeah.
give him a handle back.
So this is a quick question. Then I got some more, but just try to answer this as quickly as possible because this is something I think a lot of people come up with, and you guys probably encounter all the time. Is like people. There are so many dudes out there who got a dog that was going to be like the big hunting dog, and it winds up not being. And when that happens, I typically think, maybe the dog didn't have talent, but I typically think like they didn't have the time due to obligations or laziness. They didn't take the time to train the dog. Let's say a fella goes out and gets a puppy. What is the bare minimum days? Put it by in terms of days a week, days a month, whatever. What is the bare minimum you better be prepared to put into that dog when you bring it home to ever expect to have a dog that isn't going to embarrass you in front of your buddies or that isn't just going to be a detriment to your hunting?
I think
Probably more like hours a week.
Well, yeah, and it's to me, it's more repetition than it is length of time. It's more short duration training sessions than a few long ones.
Yeah, that's
So
how I'm
if you
trying to
did-
teach my
if you
kid to
did-
shoot his bow. My
Exactly.
4-year-old.
If you did
a little
15
bit
minutes
often.
every day, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's much better than like one Saturday a week. So, and it's particularly important, in my opinion. The first year is critical. I mean, little babies' brains are like a sponge, so's a dog.
Yeah.
And they want to work. They want to please you. At
So
least
how many
labs
hours?
do.
How many hours a week? I know it's hard to answer that way, but what would you say?
I probably spent more than I should have, but it was probably
Ed, some dogs.
15 hours, 10 to 15 hours a week, maybe.
Right, and then there's
So
some
a
dogs.
considerable investment, though.
Yeah.
It's a considerable investment. If you want to train, if you want a basic, now back to your question, which
Yeah.
was just
You don't
a
wanna be
basic
embarrassed
obedience
by
dog.
it.
Yeah, I mean,
No, that's a bad
you
way
could
to
get
put it.
away with a half hour a day. So
Oh
what's
yeah,
that?
exactly.
Three
and if
or
you
4 hours
spend
a
a
week.
half an hour a day, you're going to have the dog better than the guy who doesn't spend that half hour a day.
Yeah.
But one of the other biggest things that this is my biggest gripe with all dogs, and I'm sure Ed knows it too, is there's 7 inherited traits to a pointing dog, and I guess there'd be 6 to a flushing dog. There's desire, pointing, cooperation, tracking. Well, that's embarrassing. I can't remember the rest of it.
Can't remember your principles.
But anyway, there's
Let me
inherited.
look it up for you.
My book's in the other room. There's inherited traits that this dog comes with in a package, and
Inherited me like out of the box.
out of the box,
Right
it's
out
in
of the
there.
mama.
And
Yeah.
all you got to do is like expose it a little bit, and and this is like, holy cow, my dog's holding point.
Oh, I'm with you now.
You know, where there's
You're
other
helping
dog,
bring out stuff that's just there.
it's just there already.
Yep,
And-
that's right.
and-
enhancing the instincts.
And so then the training, you could get one of those dogs out of a litter. It's just what we call a natural, like natural athletes in high school.
Yeah.
The guy that could play all the sports, and I couldn't run.
Yep.
They'd have culled me.
Yeah, it's like the dog. It's like the dog we're talking about. We cycled through as a family.
There you go.
Many dogs, and all of a sudden here comes this dog.
Yeah.
And no one knew anything about it. It was just like this dog, one, cared what you thought about it, and two, liked to find ducks.
So
And that's all we were looking for. You know,
and that's
Yep.
where that's my hallmark for a dog is I can have a lower desire dog, but it's got to have a high cooperation.
yeah.
And my wire hairs didn't have. Well, one of them did, but most of them didn't. My short hair had, she was okay, but natural cooperation in a hunting dog is like an unspoken teamwork.
Yep.
They got to be
just-
trainable.
You get
They have
stuff
to
from them. Then the training's easy because they're like,
Yeah.
oh, this isn't. There's dogs that I don't care who the trainer is, and you've seen people have made a lab get a title that don't deserve a title. You know what I mean? I'm sure
I
you've
probably
seen
passed a few.
it. Me too. Me too.
I've given him the title.
I've given a prize one dog, and I'm going, I wouldn't put that dog in my truck. But this guy has overwhelmed all the faults in this dog with obedience. This dog is just like on pins and needles.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
he's masked it with obedience training. But if you can get a dog that's cooperative, that means he wants to work with you.
Yeah.
And like a little dog that
The teamwork's
gets
really
his
important.
first bird, and you get that puppy, he grabs a bird or whatever you throw, and he just brings it back to you. You're like, we might have something here.
Yeah, yeah.
But the one that runs around the backyard and like you're going, even as a puppy, you're going, I got to work with this dog.
Yeah, and you have to work more.
So you're
with
saying
gotta work more with
a
you.
guy can take the pep out of a dog by pushing obedience too much.
Oh yeah, you.
Oh, yeah. You
and-
can definitely do
and
that.
their behavior can be different. They can turn into little assholes.
But some of them need more.
Oh yeah, and then there's
more
other dogs that are like that,
and more
like that kid that went to
heavy
school
stick.
that he did better at Catholic school than he would have done at public school because
Yeah.
the nuns just got him and that's what dog training is, right? I mean, it's like timing. The Catholic nuns, I had all my friends went to Catholic
Consistency.
school.
You know, I want to mention Ronnie. This is a digression. Then I want to
Okay.
get to some fast questions I want to answer. Ronnie, you're just not that old. But in his public school and swimming class, the boys all swam naked.
That's the next episode on this podcast we're going to go to.
It just sounds so long ago.
Yeah, we had that happen in Alaska. We had that whole big conversation. Nobody believed it. But yeah, you're right.
I've never heard that.
No, they all
it's
swam. Swimming class,
Chicago
all the boys
Public-
had to strip down and swim
Chicago
naked.
Public High School, boys had no suits. You swam naked. And when I went to
I love that.
when I
man.
was being born the last day of October, second to last day of October, I was not as mature as the other boys.
Oh, yeah.
There was no hair down there. And it was really like,
You should have gotten a toupee.
That is a digression.
yeah, that's a digression. But anyway,
All
back
right, real
to-
quick, back to this. Because I want to ask some rapid fire dog
Okay,
questions.
so anyway, this is what I look for more in a dog is that natural cooperation. Then it's just makes the whole training thing easier.
yeah.
You
The
can
dog
screw-
wants to please.
You can screw it up, but it makes the whole thing easier. And it's easy to see in a puppy. You can see cooperation issues all the time in a puppy.
You can usually pick out the wallflower and the bull,
Right.
and then you want one in between. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want the one
Drive,
that's like
but
dependent
you don't
on
want
you.
alpha. Yeah.
You don't want the one that thinks I'm the boss.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
So yeah, exactly.
I think it's kind of like that finding a mate, too, man.
You might have something.
I might
there.
be honest. I should write a relationship book. No, Janis, I want you to do something. I want you to role play. What are you doing on your phone there?
I'm trying to get a picture of. Oh,
Who's messing with their
There it
cord
is.
real bad? Is someone fiddling with their cord?
You hear
Everybody
that?
hold dead still except Janis. Now do what you were doing. Yeah, it's you. It's driving me nuts.
Sorry.
Not bad. Ed? A little bit. What are you doing on your phone? We're wasting time. I want you to role play as a dude who likes to hunt a little bit of everything, asking a question about what kind of dog he needs.
I can do that because I was actually doing that earlier today.
No.
Yeah.
You're a fellow like Janis, lives in Bozeman, Montana. A lot of hunting opportunities. Upland, waterfowl, mountain lions.
I have 2 young kids.
2 young kids that he can't be having getting killed by dogs. His wife's going to be really mad about that.
Police don't like it either.
Police don't like it. What dog does Janis want? So I'm putting this to a pointer guy and a retriever guy. But you got to find consensus. You got to find consensus.
I think
because I know I'm asking the question. I want to interject one more thing. A pointer guy has to. I think a pointer guy and a retriever guy are both chasing an ideal, right?
Sure.
A pointer guy dreams of that moment, right? And there's the dog locked on point,
Right.
shotgun at the ready.
The tail is just slightly
Like a boner.
That's his image.
super stiff. Not giving you a little flag. Just
Really, just
Gotcha.
not like flaccid, just ready to rock.
Yeah, no flaccid weenies.
That's his image.
Yeah.
I think the retriever guy's image is his dog in flight out of the blind into the icy cold water.
Right.
And he swims out and brings you the duck.
Yeah.
That's a good vision.
I can see
That's
that.
your
that
magazine
picture
covers.
I just got of my brother-in-law's chocolate lab, Sage, who's also named Sage.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
female.
let me look at this
But
here.
this dog,
These guys are shooting just drakes.
this dog sits on the bow, and when he calls that dog's name, that dog, with no running start, hits the water 15 feet out. I mean, it's pretty
Airtime.
amazing.
Yeah, see that's the picture right there, man. I mean, it's like, yeah, Yanni's showing a picture. This is your brother-in-law down in Tennessee.
Yeah.
He's got a black lab,
Chocolate.
lab. He's got a bunch of mallards hanging there.
Blowing Springs Kennels is where it's from.
That's where we bought it from?
Yeah.
As G. Gordon Liddy says, we're now going to take a break for crass commercial messages. The other day, I flew from Seattle down to Phoenix to record a few of these wonderful MeatEater podcasts, and that plane was full of dudes heading down to Phoenix to watch spring training. It's that time of year, and it means one thing. Baseball season is almost here, and there's never been a better time to check out DraftKings.com, which is America's favorite daily fantasy baseball site where you can win some humongous cash prizes every day. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments, no slogging through a long season to collect your cash. It's just instant cash, instant gratification, and it's like a new baseball season every time you play. You go on there, pick 2 pitchers and 8 position players, stay under the salary cap, and you could be on your way to a massive payday. In fact, DraftKings has already crowned a dozen millionaires. Hundreds of thousands of fantasy sports fans just like you have cashed in at DraftKings, and it's your turn. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code MEAT to play for free in the $100,000 fantasy baseball contest on opening day. First place takes home $10,000. Use promo code MEAT for every entry now at DraftKings.com. DraftKings.com. In case you have a real comprehension problem, that's DraftKings.com.
All right, so there's Janis, just moved, young strapping lad, 2 young kids, just moved to Bozeman. He's got upland waterfowl. He says to you guys, he says to Ed first, Ed, what kind of dog do I want, man? I just want a dog that's ready to roll. I don't even know what I'm going to be doing. Give him your pitch.
I'm willing to put some time in training.
He's willing to put a little money down. Not a lot. He don't want to spend more than $1,000.
He still owes you $1,000.
Well, he owes me $1,000 for the bet. he. Let's just also add this. I excuse him of his debt of $1,000.
Then I'll give him a dog.
And he doesn't want to spend any more than that. He doesn't want to spend any more than that on a dog. And that's absolute top limit. He'd be a lot happier to spend $300-$400.
Well, you can't do that.
Okay, $1,000. Okay, well, first off, let's start with this. What's his budget?
I'm smart enough to know that what I'm getting into is going to cost a little bit of money. Just like
And
you
be
don't
a
go
lot-
buying cheap rangefinders.
Right.
You got to spend a little money on
Okay,
it.
so what? So that's first question.
It's also a 10 to 12
One word
year
answer.
commitment.
What's his budget? If he's smart,
His budget should be $1,000 minimum.
Yeah,
Ed.
1,000.
Okay, so now
That's what I
15
sell
max.
that's what I'd sell my puppies to you for.
all right. So Janis, again, we already know his credentials. says to you, ask him. Just say it right now as your role play.
Ed.
Can you do it in Latvian?
Nah.
That's my name in
Latvian.
Latvian.
I love it.
See.
Yeah, is what you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a dog that can really do everything, as well as come inside at the end of the day, hang out with my girls, and be a family dog. I can put in 10 hours a week with it,
That's great.
train it.
You're going to take that
That's
time.
a lot of time.
But that time
That is.
comes away from your dog.
10's a lot of time, but
No, we're going to do it together.
15
Oh.
minutes a day would be best he's going
Right.
to get.
He's doing it with his children, so you're not like
The
messing up
first
his...
year, we can't do it.
Oh, you could. If you're home enough, you could do an hour a day. But you know what? Not to stop the question, but you also got to remember a young dog, you don't do an hour a day.
No,
You do it in little
you get
segments,
little-
5 minutes here, 10 minutes here.
3 or 5, 10, 15 minute
Then
sessions.
it becomes longer and longer.
And when I said
Okay,
10
let's
to
keep
15
moving fast.
hours,
'Cause this is, I want to get to. I want to get there.
Here's my bias.
Here's your, yep.
It's biased answer, but the Labrador Retriever is without exception one of the best dogs for all around hunting conditions, and they're really great family dogs.
But it can't find birds. They can't
Golden
find pre-shot birds. It can't find live birds.
Oh, sure.
Say
it
that
does.
again?
He's not.
I'm not following that.
Yeah.
They won't go out and find
sure
birds
it will.
before you shot them.
Yeah, because you
Yeah,
got
Will,
under the
what do you-
retriever. You got under the
what do you mean?
retriever
Yeah,
side
that-
of it.
So
And
you
that's-
feel like they're pretty reliable at finding flushing up
The
birds.
dog that that I hunted with today, Sage, my Sage, that is one of the better pheasant labs I've ever had.
Finds
See,
them up.
Steve,
I
that's
have
why-
killed
And it's not flushing
many.
them 75. I'm playing the devil's
No,
advocate.
no. I
Steve,
keep that
that's why
dog
I said
within
earlier,
30 yards.
The dogs are divided into flushing.
I'm playing
groups.
devil's
Oh,
advocate.
okay.
No.
Because-
He's a good upland dog. You have to train them on all of this stuff, but they're good in the duck blind. They're good on upland, and they're great with the family.
But what? Yeah. Let me put what he will not do.
He won't point, but there are pointing labs.
But you know what? I found
we don't want to go
labs-
there. Yeah, I know. You don't wanna
Labs
go there.
will, in some way, once you get in tune with their body language, will, in their own inadvertent way, alert you to the presence
sure.
of a bird.
Sure.
Who did I tell this story
He's
to?
trying to
when I-
find it, but you know by his body language that
Right.
something's
Yeah.
up.
It's getting close. It's getting close.
I think I told you last night on the way back
No.
about Sage and the
Oh,
last
yeah.
2 roosters. He was telling me they're right here. I was
Yeah,
running.
Ed was out hunting. He got real sick of walking and kind of stopped. And
Was
his
running
dog
after
like
him.
looked back from him from the top of the hill, kind of being like, "You have to be kidding me! You have to
He's
come
right
up here. This
here."
is so exciting!" And he goes up there, and there's 2 pheasants.
But this is the problem with the Flushing breeds versus the pointers. I ran my ass off chasing that dog because he's really good on runners, and he was chasing a running blackbird.
Right.
And so if
pheasants
you
are
want to
not-
put your tennis shoes on and chase a flusher after birds, otherwise you do it gentlemanly and go to the point. So
I gotta say, I almost don't want a lab just because not everybody. Now I know somebody that doesn't have a lab.
Well, you're Latvian. You don't want a common dog.
Everybody's got a lab.
What do they run in Latvia?
I have no idea. I had to look that up.
Curs.
Cur hounds. All right, so
Something that runs pigs.
you already know the question. So there's Janis. He's going to give you an abbreviated version of the question in Latvian.
Tell me why.
Mēs šodien šorīt, kamēr mēs medījām Sandhill cranes.
I would say that what you need. No, if I was going to sell my breed of dog to you, I would say the shortcomings in my dogs would be
Ooh, that's tactful. Start with the shortcomings. Because then he's
You
going
live
to
in-
close in with a big sell.
you live in Bozeman, Montana, and if you are going to do a fair amount of waterfowl hunting, then you don't want one of my dogs because you're going to have to put a vest on. It has a very short coat. I do have one male that goes through Cedar Creek.
Oh, yeah,
all
yeah.
the time. Walks that creek and
But that creek runs through my veins, man.
yeah. He walks through right up to January 1st when we have to quit. He walks that creek. Doesn't get cold. But most of them, they're going to be shaking like a...
And that's a cold ass place too.
Yeah.
I mean, like ducks show up there
So
really good in
my thing
December, and
would
that
be-
stuff's frozen.
My
man.
thing would be, like, if you think you're going to do more duck hunting, then you want to get something with a really good coat, and you can't get a better coat than a lab. Well, maybe a Jessie. I don't know. I think it's... If you really get a good lab coat...
Jesse's our top duck dog, no doubt.
Yeah. But, I mean...
they're warmer than a lab.
Yeah, they're denser, I think, probably. But I think I'm kind of digressing here, but what Ed faces and a lot of pointing breeds face is so many people have bred these dogs without the concern for coat and conformation. You're getting labs that don't have a good coat.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So
Because they've been breeding them as house dogs.
house dogs and show dogs and everything else.
Yeah.
And so that makes a difference. But the breed I have now, the Bracco Italiano, it's a couch potato. It is you'd find upland birds with it. You could jump shoot ducks. You could go out, break some skim ice, shoot a few birds, put a vest on it. But if you're going to really be out in the cold a lot, I would go with a dog with a better coat. Either another versatile dog, if you wanted a pointer, or a lab. And we both laughed about the pointing labs, as Ed's been around them for years, I'm sure. And in NAVDA, our kind of joke is when somebody says, well, are pointing labs ever going to come into NAVDA? And one of the leaders of our group goes, a pointing lab is a fault. It's a flushing dog. Why?
Oh,
Why
yeah.
would you want a pointing dog that didn't hold point?
Yeah.
Why would you want a flushing dog that stops in the middle of what he's doing?
Well, you know,
Well, it'd be like if you met an exotic dancer who's a good cook. so Rob,
It's a good analogy.
my very first lab, actually, I wouldn't say she was a pointer by any means, but she got up on the bird and she knew it was there, saw it,
right.
smelled it. So I just tell her to stay.
Right.
I'd walk up and just say, "Get them," and she'd dive in, and birds would come up.
I would love to have one of those.
yeah,
But
she was a flusher. That
but
plain and simple.
what's
I would never
happened is
call her
that
a pointing
people have
lab.
started to try to just make this new breed of pointing labs, and I'm sure they're not. I don't know how. I like to know. How do you feel about it? Like when somebody
how long we been going for?
53. And I got a bonus question.
We got a bonus question, and you got to give me the pitch. And he wrote down a question that he hasn't answered yet.
Okay. Anyway, my pitch would be if you wanted a pointing dog that would be a great family dog, I'd have to agree with my breed of Bracco Italianos, or possibly some Griffin, wire-haired pointing Griffon, maybe a Vizsla, back to the short-haired. Those breeds are not, well, the other two are kind of popular, but they're a little bit more on a docile side. A German wire hair is a little crazy, a German short hairs, Weimaraners. And again, everyone's going to, if people hear this, they're going to go, oh, you son of a bitch. I'm saying just in
because
general,
people will fight. It's like arguing over rifle calibers.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whether a 20 gauge is better than
because
12 gauge.
They're going to be 20.
Everybody's
well,
got their
I've
breed.
been on websites where people defend pit bulls. Now, I'm sorry, I don't want one next to me. I know there's some sweetheart pit bulls out there. I just don't want one next to me.
Yeah.
So when I say general statement, you'd want one of the more docile pointing breeds that are known for being a little more laid back,
with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to run
they
big
still-
CRP,
But you're not giving a good sell. You've devoted a huge portion of your life to these dogs, and you're basically telling a guy, "I'd go get a lab,
But no.
or if you want one, get a docile one."
No,
I know there's more in you, because if it wasn't, you wouldn't have. This is all you've ever been like
since you know me.
when you're not, besides your work and your family. This is what you love, and you're not telling the boy.
Yeah, but see, I don't like hard sell a dog. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know,
you got too much. Yeah, it's too
Right.
much morals and stuff.
Yeah, it's just like
Well, it just depends on what you want.
right. I would just it's just not the right question to ask me, because I want more information about what you want, and I'm gonna say, hey, I'll tell people. Well, I don't think it's for
You said all around.
Yeah,
You said,
I'm with you.
When you say all around, that
And here's
means
my
all
bonus
kinds
question.
of hunting and
We'll
be
make
good
it
with the
all
family.
around. My bonus question is, you all know I'm much more of a big game hunter than I am small game, waterfowl, birds, whatever. So I don't even know if it's legal in Montana. You can't do it in Colorado. But if I had a
Trail a wounded animal with
Yeah.
a dog. In Montana, I don't know. Michigan, you can.
Michigan, you can.
I think you used to not be able to, then all of a sudden
Nah.
became able to recently.
Yeah. Somewhat.
I think I totally. I know it's hard to figure out. If you've hit and wounded a dog, or hit and wounded not a dog, hit and wounded a big game animal, I think that anything you can throw at it to find it, you should be able to throw at it to find it. And I haven't heard both sides of the story. Maybe there's a great argument why not. I just don't see, how would the retrieval of game ever be a negative? I just can't picture
I
it.
agree.
Well, the reason it's illegal is right, but the reason it's legal is because people would run them.
Yeah, I know. You're heading people.
That's the problem.
You're heading off abuse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so hard to discuss laws and legal stuff. Like, my brother has a rule that when he discusses this stuff, he's talking about what's the goal of the legislation rather than how people are going to get around it. And so I support the goal
and
of it.
personal ethics here.
Yeah, I support the goal of it. Like,
we want to find that.
Yeah, first and foremost is someone needs to retrieve that deer.
Yeah.
What is going to help him retrieve that deer?
And look, that dog's not going to be with you on that bow hunt. You're going to, let's say
you're not using a dog to help you on the bow hunt.
No, you let's say you make your shot's not quite right on. You're not going to spend a day, 24 hours looking for it, exhausted, and go, okay, it's time to go home and get the dog because all we got is pin drops for, half a mile.
Well, if I was going to speak to what you're looking for then, and I know labs are used for tracking. I mean, they can do a great job of tracking.
They'll find a wound.
You can train them, though, if you really wanted to.
Right. They can certainly do it.
Yep.
But the versatile breeds, again, this would not be maybe my breed, although I have one guy that works for Bear Archery that tracks a bunch of deer with his dog all the time.
With a Bronco.
With a Bronco. And, but some of the versatile breeds, tracking recovery of crippled game was their biggest
leashed.
That was their barometer. There's an old saying when it comes to pointing breeds, the Germans want a tracking dog that will point, and the Americans want a pointing dog that will track. So
can I cut in real quick? Montana, it's legal to track with a leash dog, which I think is pretty good. That's a great compromise.
That's a smart.
It's a good compromise. Yeah. In fact, most states, I think it's leash. Most states.
That's reasonable. He's not going to be out killing other stuff.
Yeah. Now, is that reasonable to ask that of the dog? Can you pull it off?
Absolutely.
On a leash?
My God, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's where it comes into the demeanor of not being, crazy. It's like, okay, and you train them that way. You train them on the leash. You do blood.
Train them so they know what their job is. That's exactly right.
So they just know like that leash is not a big deal. I know I'm pulling my dad along, but he's not going crazy. And yeah, I've seen dogs do. I have that one wire hair black one in Haskell we talked about. He tracked several deer. He killed a couple deer.
So to the point of being able to.
What happened to your pants over there, Mike? Oh, he's got him. He's got him.
We are in a small house in Western Texas, and one of the
you just don't know what you're going to see in a
the
rental
cameraman
house
is
in
mooning
Texas.
us right now. Earlier, Steve asked him if his buttocks hurt.
All right, so just to wrap, I want to wrap a couple things up. Your bonus question is taken care of.
Ed should answer it briefly.
What was the question?
He also loves big game.
Yeah, I love big game, and it'd be great if I could train my dog to do that.
Oh yeah,
and you just said that.
You can train him to do anything. Just a quick side note: the dog we hunted with today, Sage, I actually trained him to find dead bats and birds under wind turbines. I used to do research on windmills and fatalities
Was that right?
of wildlife.
Where were you doing that work?
Mostly back east in Pennsylvania.
So you'd go into big wind farms to see if they really are knocking birds out.
If they killed bats and mostly bats, but birds as well. But I actually trained him, and I got him trained in 5 days, and he'd go out and in our trials, he found over 80% of the trial bats.
Really?
So we were pretty
And that's his
confident that he
desire
was doing
to
good. But
retrieve.
Exactly.
Right?
It's the desire to find something.
You just turned it, you've channeled
And I'll
it.
tell you how we did it.
You channeled it.
Yeah, exactly. I just took the bats, some frozen bats, and I'd set them out there somewhere.
Who doesn't have a
And when he
frozen bat?
actually found them, well, let's not get into that.
I know.
So and when he found it, I'd give him a food treat, and I'd throw it. But more importantly, I'd throw him a bumper. The retrieve is the ultimate.
Oh, yeah.
So then
you reward him with being able to do a retrieve,
and then you just phase out. And this is with any kind of training, you just phase out of that after a while. Then
less reward,
the game or the command or whatever it is becomes the reward.
Right. Yeah.
My buddy Brant, who I mention often, trained. You did the same thing. He's a researcher like yourself. Trained his dog to find nests.
I had one.
That dog got very good at finding
my very
nests,
first one.
which he said if you don't have a dog out there, and if you don't have a dog out there, and you don't have a hen who's wearing a tracker, it is extremely difficult to find duck nests in high grass. And he just knocked it out of the park finding them with that dog.
I did the same thing with my first lab.
And she
Duck
wouldn't
nest.
get there and destroy the eggs.
Yeah.
She'd get there and be like,
Right,
right,
and right here it is.
And
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
the same note. That's why they do all the banning of woodcock and grouse with pointing dogs.
Is that right?
Because when they come into the scent,
he won't get in there and crush it.
right.
Yep.
So it's like, can't move. And you're right there with the dog. Tell the dog to whoa. It's got to be trained dog. Then you can do all the work with the eggs or the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So to your bonus question,
Yeah.
you can train these dogs to do
Yeah.
those things.
But what dog more out of the box is going to want to do it? Probably some kind of, it'd probably be a bloodhound, right? It'd be like a lion dog.
That would be their
Or a coon
instincts,
dog,
yes.
right.
That would be, I would say, yeah. If all you wanted to do was track, problem is with the hound group, you want to say bloodhound. Very few bloodhounds ever get in any competition and are trained for tracking anymore. It's a great old dog, but they're not real active. Then if you were to
How
try to
are
get
they as family dogs? Just quickly.
bloodhound, I've never had one in the house. I don't know. I think
No
bloodhounds are
experience with that.
yeah, but I know the other dogs that would track better and faster would be your blue ticks and your all the coon dogs, the bear
cur.
But they
It's my sales pitch.
don't listen good. They're very independent.
Who's this now?
Bear dogs and coon dogs.
Oh, yeah.
That you were lying them to be
Floyd's
independent.
lion dogs. Floyd's lion dogs would kill you.
Really?
They like to hunt lions, and they got to fight lions.
Yeah.
Yeah. They gotta be a
Those
little
dogs are
tough.
ready to fight. One dog will go fight a lion.
Wow. That's
It's like he would rather die than pull out of the fight.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never seen
Those
a lion.
dogs do not snuggle.
Yeah. See, my dogs
Probably
just-
don't want that one for your kids.
Really, and it sounds like I'm being like
Floyd would die if he knew I was saying his dogs would kill you. I don't mean they kill you. I'm just saying like those dogs think about one thing. They think about their group dynamic, which is very complex because there's a bunch of them. You know, you're running like you got a dozen dogs or whatever.
Right.
They think about
So they got that pack
what they got
mentality.
going on,
Yeah.
and then they think about how does that relate to catching lions. You know,
And that's not a dog you want for the house. No. So really, I think it's if you want to concentrate on blood tracking, I would say pick one of the versatile breeds because it's probably more in the gene pool. But I also know that my new son-in-law, his family in Pensacola, Florida, they have a hunting camp in Alabama, and their two blood tracking dogs are their labs. So I mean,
really, are they good at finding deer?
yeah, they are. And then that's
Will
the
they
one
find
that-
pigs?
I don't think they've ever done it, but that's the guy
They
that
will if
bought
you
the
train
dog
them.
from me
They'll
and
find
became my
anything.
son-in-law. And so he ran his Bronco with the labs, and now his Bronco's tracking blood. So
I mean, I've never trained one to track big game, but I'm sure you can do it.
yeah,
Because the way I train for trailing for pheasants is you buy a pin raised pheasant and you kill it and you drag it.
right.
Oh
and you drag it through a field and you plant it somewhere where where you know it is, and you get the dog out and put him on the scent
Right.
and work him until he finds it.
You know what's kind of a I don't mean to offer this as a wrap up, but what's interesting is the first time I ever went hunting pigs with dogs, they had classic trackers, you know, like hounds. Mm-hmm. Then they had
Where was
pit
that in?
bulls in Hawaii,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and they had
Yeah.
pit bulls. I think they were pit bulls.
or they look like a pit bull.
Yeah,
Some
they had
sort of
pit bulls.
terrier.
That they had a dog that would track the pig. Mm-hmm. Then they'd have a dog that would catch the pig and anchor it. And these dogs knew to grab that pig by the ears, and they would hold that thing to the ground.
All right.
So the dogs worked in
Come
tandem.
hell or high water.
And these guys, like, that's just how you do it. Then I later did that in New Zealand, and they had a dog that looked like a toned-down greyhound. And they even had whippet in them. They bred whippet in them for speed. And these dogs were great pig hunters, but they wouldn't actually fight the pig. They would just harass
They
the
couldn't
pig.
manhandle the pig.
They would not anchor a pig.
Yeah.
They would harass it and corner it and keep it busy while you went and caught up with it.
Yeah.
End result is you got to get in there and fight the dog. You got to fight the pig a little bit more.
Right.
But that little thing would do it. The third time I ever went and did this was in Florida, what Janis was talking about earlier. Whole other deal. Whole different kind of dog. No pit bulls, no whippets.
Well, what was it?
Oh, they were hounds. Some kind of smaller hound dog.
But they had one big, I can't remember her name, but there was that one big cur that looked like it.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, remember that big...
I remember the dogs that all got in the huge fight with the raccoon. I remember the dog.
She was in there.
That boar charged that dog and laid it open good.
Yeah, and they had small... Those dogs were small, most of them.
Like,
Yeah.
40,
They had- but
40
they had-
pound or
No, probably bigger than that.
50 pound.
Yeah, maybe 45 pounds. 40. Yeah, probably 40.
But there was
45 pounds.
one that was like a 70, 75 pound.
I don't remember that
big
dog.
chested.
Was that the one that got ripped open by the pig?
No, I think it was one of those little ones.
What's funny about this guy? What?
No, he said big chested.
Oh, this guy, his dog gets. He's got dogs. They're getting fights with pigs all the time.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, man, what's your vet think? You guys bringing in these cut up dogs? Does your vet think that it's like? Does he get mad at you like it's abusive to put these dogs in these situations? He goes, no, I went and found a vet that likes to hunt pigs.
I like that. That would certainly help.
Yep.
That would help.
All right, where are we at with time? We should probably.
We're there.
All right, so the logical conclusion of this is you need to go buy a Bracco Italiano in a lab. Breed them. You need a budget of what do you need for a budget?
They're a little pricey.
Ron has a thing. Ron
pricey.
Ron's got a dog that's a fat. Like you're not gonna take offense by this. You got a dog that's a fashionable dog. Not fashionable. It's unknown.
It's rare.
And people want it for novelty.
Yeah.
And he has even sold dogs, a handful of them, more than a handful of them, to people who have no intention of hunting that dog.
Right.
How can you do that?
Well, it's easy. It's called $2,500 for a 8-week-old puppy that just says,
I did the same thing when I was breeding.
no one knows
Yeah.
if it's any good or not.
About
No.
3/4 of my dogs.
But you gotta realize-
half went to pet
and
family.
answer me this. How many labs do you think are in this country?
Lots. I have no idea.
How many people?
Millions.
How many people per family? Just divide that by.
Okay, so let's just say
How
right
many
now,
American families
right
are there?
now
How many
there's
labs you got?
probably, I'm going to say there's 5 million labs in this country. Or let's just say 1 million. That's a safe number. There's 300 million people. Let's just say 500,000. I'll bet you.
I can look it up. Well, yeah, well, it doesn't matter. There's a bunch
I'll bet
of
you only 2 to 3% of them ever put a duck in their mouth.
Yeah.
So
sure.
It's the same way. When
If that. Yeah.
If that. So same thing. This is a very esoteric dog. It costs a lot to import them. It costs a lot to. The price is going to come down, and they're all going to come down to the price. But right now, there's somebody who don't know shit from pudding. I sell them for $2,500.
So you don't feel any kind of moral thing where you got to make sure they're going to hunt that dog?
No, I push them in my registry, in my breeding contract. If they ever want to breed this dog, then they have to do all the things I do. They have to do a NAVDA test.
Yeah.
They have to have health tests, hips, eyes, x-rays, everything. And I'm like, okay, then you're just as new as I was 25 years ago. But you're going to do what I do. And if they do that, and the dog's got to pass a hunting test, this dog's got the ability to do it, and I'm fine with that.
Did you hear about what happened to Matt recently? He bought a guy gave him a cow that for some reason was assumed to be infertile.
Oh, yes, I did hear that. Yeah.
And then I don't know how it happened. Someone brought a bull over, but this is my brother. Someone brought a bull. That could be mutilating this story, but the basic gist is the guy gives him a cow that's supposed to be not viable, infertile. Somehow a bull comes over. Turns out the cow is not, in fact, infertile. Has a calf. Matt decides to get out of the livestock business and takes his cow-calf pair down to sell them at an auction. Gets in a little trouble with the brand inspector who wants the brand papers. Matt has no idea what he's talking about because the guy just gave it to him.
Because he never had cows before.
Winds up, he has to go to the guy that gave him the cow. The guy that gave him the cow is not happy because he has like a protected bloodline, right?
Right.
Like a name he's got to defend, right? He's got a reputation. And here he gives one of his cows to someone who just like goes and breeds it with some bull down the road.
But he was told it was not viable.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I know, but anyways, he had to go talk. He had to get himself
I can
out.
see that getting messy.
So
I can see that getting messy.
the long and short of the story is he was impressed by beef prices.
That's a good way to wrap that up.
He's out of the stock business now, but he was in it pretty thick for a couple of days there. So Ed, dog budget.
If you get really high-powered field trial bred dogs, they're going to push
By that you mean
2000
what? Field.
Those, the sire or the dam or both have
Titles.
field trial champions.
So he knows a good smart.
And
the mom and dad went to Harvard.
Exactly. It's Cadillac, the Maserati. But, you know, a good average hunting dog is going to be $1,000 usually minimum, $1,500. I think the key thing to look for, when I was breeding readily through brown dog retrievers, when I had my kennel, my advice to people, if they couldn't afford it, it's like, that's fine, but if you buy one out of the paper for $300 or $400, make sure it's got the health guarantees.
Right.
A good breeder is going to give you, you know, is going to have all the certificates you need.
Yeah.
They're free of
Even
all
good-
known
even
congenital
good
diseases,
first-time-
good hips, good elbows, good eyes, all that stuff, and they will give you.
Breeders should do that now.
Yeah, that's right. And they will give you a certificate that if there's any of those problems that show up congenitally, over a certain time, I mean, you don't wait for hips to, you know, show up with a 12-year-old dog with bad hips and say, I want a puppy.
It's called arthritis.
Exactly. But that's what you're really looking for. And to get a good, well-bred dog with the traits you want, good health certificate, you're looking at $1,000.
I'm going to ask you another really tough question. Let's say you go down, like I said, my brother went to a lab rescue place.
Right.
Basically randomly selects a dog. If you had to put it in percentage points, what are the odds that he's going to walk out of there? He just goes in. There's 10 dogs in there. He randomly selects a dog. Don't factor in health. Okay, we'll just make an assumption about
Sure.
health. What are the chances he's going to come home with a hunting dog that'll make him proud? Versus he gets one whose mom and dad are all the stuff you were talking about.
I think he's got a good chance, I'm going to say probably maybe 75% that the dog wants to do the work, but he's going to have to put the work into it, to train it, to do it, so he doesn't embarrass his
That's the pound puppy.
That's the pound puppy. They've got the instincts. If it's a purebred lab, they're all, I mean, it's on a gradient, right? You know, they're not all good.
Right.
And some of them are great. To your point, you know, you pull one out of the lab or the rescue and you get a really good one. That's because he has the drive and the instincts.
you
He
say
may have
that-
been pretty well bred.
So he's got a 75 with a pound puppy. What's he got with a dog who's got some?
No, I'm saying
credentials?
with instinct that would actually
75
go out and
he's
do
got
the work.
instinct,
He's
whether
gotta
or not you
train
screw it up or not.
Exactly. He's got to train that in. Maybe that drops to 25%, depending on
You know what?
If you're buying one from a lab rescue, it might drop to 25% real quick.
When Ed said that, it reminded me of a saying a guy told me years and years ago. When we talk about dogs, well, it's the best dog. Breed best to the best. Don't always breed best to the best. You gotta say this dog's got a fault, that dog's got a fault. Yeah, but they're both great. No, they both got a serious fault, and the same fault can repeat itself. There's an old saying: the best boxer, heavyweight, lightweight, middleweight boxer, never stepped off a porch in his life, never stepped into the ring. He just didn't box.
No one knows.
So you get that dog like you guys got. That dog wasn't trained by any handlers. That wasn't trained by any nothing. And that could have been one of the best dogs in the world.
Yep.
And through great dogs.
Yeah.
You just never know. So you never know who. You just don't know.
I think what you're
All right,
buying.
but you got to answer the second part.
Okay.
What are this dude's odds if he goes through jumps through the hoops, buys like a dog with all the paperwork, diplomas, or the mom and dad have the paperwork?
Better than average?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're already better than average. You said 75%.
That was instincts.
Okay,
If you just go down-
this
so-
is the last thing we're going to talk about. I want to re-ask the question. You got a guy. He's has everything it takes as a beginner trainer. He's going to go to the pound and get a dog, and he's got the time. He's got the time that is necessary to put into it. What are the odds he's going to pull a good dog versus what I'm trying to get you to answer? You know what I'm trying to get you to answer. Does it actually pay? Is it actually worth your time to look and be like, who were the mom and dad, all that garbage? Is it just random, or do you really get something when you get that?
Now I'm going to maybe drop it to 50-50. But, you know, the reality is I think most of the labs have good instincts, but not all of them are going to be hunters right out of the box.
Yeah.
And, you know, it depends on their age, you know, the old dog, new trick thing. I mean, you can train old dogs, but your best bet is to start with a young dog. And train.
So you didn't put an age in that puppy.
No,
list.
no.
Yeah, right.
So if you had to get one
you
that was
go down
old,
to the- yeah,
one
if
that
you
was old, one that was a puppy, you'd always go with the puppy.
Yeah, I would if I was going to train one. Yeah. If if you go down to rescue a 6 or 8 year old lab,
You're gonna
they're
get
kind
what
of
you
set in
get.
their ways, and
You're
you
probably
get what you
getting a
get.
house
and-
dog.
Yeah, probably.
Because
So let me qualify those percentages.
A really
So you're
good
not really
thing-
you're not really comfortable answering that question.
Well,
Because there's too much unknown.
I'm such a classic scientist. It just depends, you know.
I can give you a little anecdote. My brother-in-law, who owns Sage, we just saw pictures of, who was is a $2,000+ puppy. I don't know exactly what he pays. I know that she just got bred at 6 years old for the very first time, and he's expecting, to make some dividends. His first lab that he trained very hard was a rescue pound dog, Bonnie. Amazing dog. Loved that dog. He had no idea. They just grabbed her. He put the time in, and it was an amazing lab.
Yeah.
So, there you go. He got both of them.
All right.
Yep. But you could spend that kind of money and for
Come
a
out
real
with nothing.
high powered lab and come out with nothing.
And
So-
This is it. Oh, go
I know
ahead.
it's late, but there's also, if you want to buy a dog, I think one of the best ways to do, if you can do it, if it's in your budget, you're ready to spend $1,000 or $2,000 on a dog, go meet the parents of those dogs. Spend some time with
that
that
right?
breeder. And then, because if there's something you don't like about either of them dogs, you might get that in your puppy.
Yeah.
So but it's hard to do these days. These dogs get sold through the internet. I have sold dogs from coast to coast, north to south.
You
Canada.
deliver your dogs.
Most of them.
I shipped one to Greece.
Did you?
I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
a gal from Mykonos Island in Greece. bought a
I
dog
say the
from
same
me.
thing about spouses.
You
I've been married, I've been married
it.
for a long time. People ask me, advice. I'm like, dude, go hang out with the parents,
Yeah, right.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are you
Don't
kidding
say.
me?
He says if
You're-
you don't
I know
like your-
people say that, but I
if
don't
you
know.
don't like
man.
your mother-in-law,
You're
there's not
marrying
a
them
real
all.
good chance you're.
I just can't picture. I can't picture if someone had went and said, like
Before
someone-
you decide.
No, someone went and said to my wife, "Oh, go hang out with Frank and Rosie, and you'll find out what it's like to be married to Steve." I just don't see how you'd ever get the.
I got to give you that. I think
Yeah,
you got to just find it'd be the idiosyncrasies. It's not the real person, but it's a good point. You and Frank are not the same.
We both like stuff real organized,
That's true.
and not a lot of garbage, like spent shotgun shells all over the floor and stuff like that. Ronnie thinks cup holders are little things that hold empty shotgun shells.
No, one is for non-spent. The other is for spent.
That's right.
Or maybe a mix.
The console is for unshot. The little door holders are for spent shotgun shells. All right, we gotta go. This is actually like a 2-part podcast because we're gonna do part 2
Later, some other time.
No, we're gonna do it real soon, and we're gonna talk about why we're here, which is the real tall bird with the real good meat. We're gonna pick that up, and hopefully we're gonna bring in another guy who shot a mountain of these tall, good to eat birds. Hopefully this is all gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us. Tune in more. Also, this is MeatEater the podcast. You can always watch MeatEater the TV show by getting yourself access to the Sportsman channel, or go to MeatEater. I can never remember how that goes. Is it VHX TV or TV.VHX? Hold on a minute. Don't go anywhere. It's I really need to commit this to memory. 1 minute. My buddy set this thing up, and it's not. I'm sure it's. Hold on a minute. Just stay tuned here a minute. MeatEater.gov. Go to MeatEater.gov. Oh, I'm not connected. Something happened to my thing. Come on, help me out, man. Someone. I can't believe you guys aren't being helpful.
I don't have a phone with
We
me.
are. We're not busting your balls about.
I'm
what's
gonna try to
going on.
think. Okay. Nope. I'm gonna commit to some memory right now. Think of this. TV comes last in life. Okay. With that thought, MeatEater.vhx.tv. MeatEater.vhx.tv. You can go there to stream and download episodes, watch to your heart's content. There's a code you put in for a discount. Try MeatEater podcast, but that might not be it. All right, everybody. Stay tuned.
Love you.
Ron loves you.